Alright, it's time to do the Sunday crossword on January 25th. This one is by Mark McLaughlin, which is a somewhat unfamiliar name to me. This might be a. Well, this doesn't say that this is a debut, um, but we'll just carry on with it. I'm sure this is going to be a good puzzle. Sundays typically are quite high quality. This one is. Okay, the title for this one on Sunday is Alert, Alert. So there must be something special about this puzzle. The title usually gives us a good clue, and I'm noticing first of all that this is repeated, so maybe this has something to do with a double of some kind. So I'm sure the theme will tell us what it is. Okay, no revealer here. So these long answers all seem to be just part of the theme. There is no revealer in this case, and these all have italicized clues, so that kind of tells me kind of what I need to know. There was something that caught my eye here. I'm gonna go back to this. Okay, these two geographic places. I know this is Tora Bora and this is Tel Aviv in Israel. So Tora Bora, I just remember as being sort of it's very different from Bora Bora, which is a Bora Bora is an island, like a tropical island resort place. But Tora Bora, I think, is like sort of a war-torn desert area in the Middle East. Um, let's look at more things I know right away. So, mathematician Lovelace is Ada, who pioneered computer science, a lot of people say. A group of humpbacks, I think, is a pod. There are some other words for a group of whales. Another one is a gam. So, it's the smallest Canadian province. Um, P something. I don't know. Frayed might be torn. Little bits of energy are ergs. That makes sense. Okay, this is interesting. So, purchase for the Atari 2600. Something cartridge. Maybe it's just, yeah, it's literally just cartridge. Okay. Gimme, gimme, I need it. PI, what does that stand for? Not fantastical is real. German for city is a Stadt. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, we'll have to put the old paints back in. Something about windows. One of Adolf Anderson's sacrifices. I don't know any of those names, so I'll come back to it. The planets form a group of 8, also known as an octet. Pioneering DVR brand is TiVo. You'll see that come up a lot in puzzles. George Orwell's first name at birth could be. Okay, well, I know this one is Tech, which is no one that says this anymore, but short for detective. This looks like it's Eric. Then Persian Gulf nation is Iran or Iraq. The immortal game. Okay, so sacrifice the queen, because this is talking about chess, and chess we like to refer to them as like evergreen games or immortal games whenever it's sort of a impressive game notable for some reason. Sneaker brand that popularized cantilever heels. There are a lot of 4-letter sneaker brands: Nike, Hoka, Avia. You see that a lot sometimes. Trade discount quintet. Trade discount. Oh, I see. It's kind of clever what they do here. But quotation marks tells me I'm looking at the. I should be paying attention to the phrase itself, and the letters A, E, I, O, U are in here. So that's the quintet, the 5 vowels. La Città Eterna could be a Roma, Italian for Rome. Sci-fi Princess Leia. Then something to pitch. Maybe you would pitch. Not a camp. You wouldn't pitch camp. You would pitch a tent. Game. What else is this? One cutting corners. Not enough letters for that right now. Kind of orange. I think navel orange. This makes me think this is Avia. Then cheese and a wax coating Edam. I know those ones are the ones that come in sort of reddish, sort of orange slice shaped things. Then what is this? One cutting corners. Minor. I don't know. Thingamabob is a doodad. Noble gas is neon. A noble gas is just one of them. To walk is to go free, maybe. Someone walks, then they have not been punished. Baggage accessories, an ID tag. And what is this? And New York Stock Exchange. So you have IPOs, sort of new new companies going public. Home of Diego Velasquez is Las Meninas. I think that's a painter. So I'm looking for either for a name of a museum or a city. I'll see what this is. To beat handily. If you beat someone handily, you crush them, you destroy them. To beat handily, we'll see you later is ta-ta. Then, what is that? Piazzo? To deck out is to adorn. Prado. That sounds like, I think that's a museum somewhere. Then what is this? To drub then, because this Esparo is a name of a brand I'm sure of. That cabinet with plates looks awfully full. Out of, well, we'll figure out what this is. A cable company purchased by AT&T. Don't know that. What? This could be a lot of things. What else? What then? Perhaps might be the right thing. Stage booster. Stage could mean a lot of things, so I don't know. Domain for salty dogs is the sea. They're called like sailors might be called salt or sea dogs. Urges to attack is eggs on. Might egg on someone. What this hand has, one pair, maybe. AA, for instance, or ace pair. Maybe that's what it's talking about. Let's see if this is right. Resort amenity is spa. Either side of a cheerleader's A. Either side of a cheerleader's A is an arm, maybe? If it's like on their jersey or something, the letter A, then arms are on both sides. Sphere of creativity is the art scene. The art scene of a city, for instance, might be alive or might be kind of dead. It's saying, okay, well, I don't know that one. Easily detached. Detached maybe emotionally or physically detached. So I don't know. Pete who wrote, I don't know, a skincare company, Aveeno maybe. Football snapper is a, it could be a, well, kicker? Is that right? Makeshift replacement for a Kleenex. Oh, sleeve. Ew. Gross. Fluency building subject, English as a second language. Triangular sails are Latin. I know that from world history in high school, in which egg sacs, baby spiders develop in an egg sac. Pete, I don't know that. Oh, center might snap the football. Okay, I didn't know that. Bob Saget, I know that. Peter Falk had a glass eye. That's because he was blind. So like Columbo had that sort of signature squint. Ayo Edibiri of the bear, easily detached. Tear, or let's look at this. To get across, you might get across a point. Then something, it's saying you completed the marathon in under something runtime error. Okay. This is a runtime error is a computer term. So I think these all are computer terms that also, in some sense, refer to what this is talking about in a different sense of the word runtime error. Then this is a virus detector, maybe. Sort of like an antivirus feature. Then what is this? Sorry, I have to put the old paints back in. So we're getting somewhere. So maybe you might pitch camp. Possibly. Then I also think this looks like something I can. Oh, out of disk storage. Out of disk space, maybe. Disk space. That's something that you might get on a computer. So maybe this is ace pair. This is one pair. So I'll leave that there for now. Apple TV comedy. Oh, Ted Lasso. That seems right. Ted Lasso. 6. You might say sick'em to like a attack dog or something. So this is one pair. I want to hear about it. Let me in, or something me in. To a lesser degree, that's what this is. Dukes, these are all names of dukes, for instance. Or clue me in. TCI, I'm familiar with that. So what else? MIT grads, EEs, electrical engineers. It's good for the long haul. A semi. I think long haul in this case, talking about like a trucker. It's not optional, it's a must. Silicon Valley giant, or virus detected, and this is Intel. Then to mix up is to stir, and a neat is tidy. Then stretchy material is lycra, a certain kind of fabric. V-shaped designs are chevrons. Funnily enough, that's where Chevron, the brand, the gas station, comes from because the shape of this logo. Um, Unit of worker is a prof. Um, Haunted house sound is a hoot, maybe, or a howl. I think howl works better with this A here. So easily detachable is tear away. Then what is this? Event for VIP customers is a pre-sale. Maybe if you have like a certain very coveted item that's being sold, you give the most loyal customers a pre-sale of it first. A freight barge. I only know this because I've seen this clue before, admittedly, but it's a scow. Animal whose name sounds like a pronoun is you. Forte is loud. Sightseeing list. Sightseeing list. So sightseeing is not the typical sightseeing. It's somehow sight, like a website or like a location specifically. Something to use on your break is a cue, because you would break in a game of pool. Sightseeing list. I'll come back to that. Human organ with ability to regenerate itself. I think it's liver. Then this is Yves Saint Laurent, YSL. Sorry, I have to put the old paints back in. Something update. Something update failed. Windows update failed. Okay, so that was worn. Frayed is worn. Yes. I was thinking about in terms of clothes, but worn is more correct than torn. Court order is a writ. Visit as for a safety check is to look into. You might look into something to be safe. Kiwis. Then what was this? This was a miter saw. Oh, literally. Okay, one cutting corners is a miter saw. I don't think I would have gotten that on my own, to be honest. Oh, I've seen this exact clue actually. I think just a week ago. But this again is talking about an example of this, and this is all written in Spanish. So we need to put the Spanish word for what Mallorca is, which is an island. Then reason for turbulence might be a storm. Maybe you're going through a storm when you're on a flight. Seems to be the right letters. Those pancakes are piled way too high. Pancakes. And it has to do with computers in some sense. Then what is this? Stack Overflow. Right, okay. So Stack Overflow, that I think these terms are all fairly nice for a someone that knows computer programming. Stack Overflow, I think, is I might be wrong about this, but it's like when you have a certain like memory data, like a data structure that just gets too large, and then it sort of overflows. Like if you put too many things in a stack, then it might overflow. I know overflow of other things, like for instance, when you have an integer that's too large, it might overflow, and it would just mess up your arithmetic later. So I don't think it's like I think all of these. I think these other things like runtime, virus detected, or Windows update failed. These are things that maybe you would get if you were like not necessarily a programmer, but if you use computers at some point, then these are things you would get. So I for one am on the right wavelength for this, but maybe not other people. So with in was is French. This is French. So this is avec. That's what with means it means with in French. Exam marks, ticks. If you get something wrong, you might get a tick on your paper. Color of undyed linen is écru, and that also know just because I've seen it before. Uvea is, I think, appendage. Uvea, I forgot what it is, but I know that's a body part. Or, oh no, sorry, not uvea, it's uvula. Uvea is a part in your eye, I think. Uvula is the little thing hanging under on the roof of your mouth. Loose, close-fitting clothes are snug. Hardly a team player is an egoist. Then undesirable roommate is a slob, and this isn't feeling great. Isn't so is ails. Puts up a false front. Well, I'm guessing an S goes there. Unexpected jerk. Well, maybe not jerk as in like a bad person, but maybe more like as in a physical jerk. Maybe a spasm. Cuts off. So S, yeah, that works. So S is there. Cuts off. Maybe it could be many things, but I'm guessing Possibly it's lops, like you lop off something. Actually, no. Well, people say lop off. I don't think people actually say lop on its own. So maybe I'll take a look at what this is. Jane, I think that's Jane Fonda. Yeah, because she's an actor, and this is bluffs then. Then beverage brewed outside using natural heat is sun tea. I only remember that one scene from Parks and Rec where there's that woman that was complaining to Ron, who was saying, "Excuse me, I saw there was a sign for the sprinkler that said do not drink, so I made sun tea out of it, and then it got an infection." And then throughout this whole thing, Ron is just like turning away from him on his revolving office chair, and then it's just a funny sequence. But that's the only thing I remember. That's the only time that I remember sun tea being referred to in this way. Eavesdrop is Snoop. Fish in Niçoise salad. This is a tuna. Cuts off his ends. Okay, so I was thinking a bit too fancily at first, but sure. Adam Brody. That's a name. Your waiter's nowhere to be seen. Server not found. These are all fun ones. Maybe I'll take a look at this one for now. Your emery board will never fit in this tiny toiletry bag. Something too large. What is an emery? Okay, maybe I'll just come back to it later. Remote abbreviation. VCR maybe. Illegally interfere when as an election is to rig. Doesn't care for. I don't know. Chips may go in it. Chips may go into it. I don't know. Special ops. Let's take a look at these smaller answers. Fit of irritation. A fit of irritation might be a snit. You might get in a snit. Means you're a bit irritated. That ship has sailed. Then symbol of transformation in the silence of the lambs might be a moth. I remember there in the I think it was on the cover. There was a girl with a moth over her mouth or something like that. So maybe that's what it means. Ship that has sailed for the Golden Fleeces. Jason and the Argonauts sailed on the Argo ship, part of a bouquet in Bogota. So I think this is flower in Spanish. That's what it's trying to get us to say. Betrays in a way. You might betray someone's emotions. You might betray. You might just betray someone, like literally, like you just like betray them. I don't know. World's most produced organic compound. Ethane? Well, this probably is going to be an E. Then what is this? Property of curium, but not cerium. Hard C. Okay, so it's just talking about the linguistic property of it. Chips may go in it. I think a spice dip. Then, is that right? Because what is this? Doesn't care for. How is that regrets? And that doesn't look right either. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I would have thought it was VCR, but maybe it's not. Something May Brown. I don't know this name. National Poetry Month. Well, it could be any of them because all the abbreviations are 3 letters. So I'll come back to it. Spring forward hours. Daylight savings time. Yeah, you kind of only see this abbreviation in crosswords also. Then what is this? Is this possibly corned beef? Because, I mean, I'm thinking of the different kinds of beef, and the only word corned is 6 letters, and it also happens to be a very specific word that's only really found with corned beef. So it's possible that this is the only reasonable way to clue corned. Large flightless birds. There are why am I thinking there's a bird that starts with an M that fits this? I can't think of it right now. To have no stomach for, not eat. You might not eat something. Perhaps tech debut of. I would have thought this was an iPhone. Then what is? What are these things? Oh, Rias, I think. Maybe large flightless birds. I think so. Forced smile is unnatural. Then what is this? I'm thinking this is large. So large something. Something too large? Maybe it's not look into. Maybe I'll have to change that later. Computer model inputs. Computer model inputs to, I'm guessing that's an S at the end there. Then is this maybe to test? You might just hate something so much. Examine creepily is to leer at someone, maybe. To pass is to enact. In this case, it's specifically a law. Then what is this? Canning package. A canning package. Seal something? Fill it. A file is too large. Right, because an emery board is a file, a nail file. Right, computer model inputs are data sets. Maybe to look in on. Sure, I mean, it's kind of an unnatural phrase, but I think this is probably the best way you might describe it. Then let's look at what this is. Canning package is severance. Because when you're canned, in other words, fired, this is the package you're given is severance. Part of MO is, well, that stands for modus operandi. So that's how, operandi, like that. Oda, perhaps? Because this is probably just, this has to somewhat resemble a name. I can only think of an A going there because this is a word. This is also a normal word. So I'm thinking it's just Oda. Then flips on, maybe. Chips may go in it. Is this onion dip? Then ethene, perhaps. And doesn't care for its neglects. Right, okay. It's not VCR. Remote abbreviation in this case is volume. Then this is April, and that is certainly a name. Renee Magritte. Access a log, maybe, for a sightseeing list. And then the NHL team with the longest, oh, the Leafs, I think. Yeah, because I remember there was some team called the Leafs, or maybe like I forgot, Maple Leafs. Course that doesn't require much studying is easy A. Stunned might be odd. And this is seize the day is YOLO. Perfect. Okay. Let's go over this. I don't know if it was clear enough already, but I'm a big fan of this puzzle just because I think these are all really fun computer phrases, and I'm a somewhat of a computer enjoyer, more so than the next person. So, and also it was nice that I didn't have any tough crossings. There were no natics, as crossword people might say. Once I finished the whole thing, everything just fell into place very easily. By the way, so I mean I can explain what nadic is. So a nadic is it's a certain square in the puzzle where you might have two words that are just really hard to get. Where if perhaps like a reasonable solver might not be able to get what that letter is. And this name nadic came out of a puzzle many years ago where there was the word Natick, which is a city near Boston, and the N of Natick was crossed with another name that was also quite obscure, in such a way that if you didn't know that Natick was the name of the town, and you also didn't know this other name that was crossing it, you had no chance of solving this correctly. And you would just have to guess or maybe like get a hint or something like that. So nowadays, when we talk about sort of practices to avoid in your puzzles, one of those things that comes up is natics, where you don't want to have any square that is ungettable. If you just happen not to know the two clues or the answers that cross that. So, I mean, I can look at, for instance, these two things. Like if maybe someone didn't know what TiVo was, right? Then they would need to know what tech was in order to get that correctly. And then maybe someone genuinely just didn't know that tech was a thing and TiVo was a thing. Then they wouldn't be able to get that. So I think this is maybe the closest letter there is to a natick in this puzzle. Maybe also something like this. If you don't know who Bob Saget is or Pete Seeger, then you would have a hard time guessing what this G is. Now, in this case, I think that these are not really considered natics because I'm fairly sure Bob Saget is a pretty famous guy, and then TiVo is also a pretty well-known brand. So technically like it's not really that obscure. At least in sort of reasonable people might be able to get it. And by reasonable I mean like people that have experience solving crosswords, you know. So like definitely there is a sort of bias towards very common answers that have already been seen multiple times. So I mean, for me at least, I had no trouble with these because I have seen all of these names. But I'll be honest, also mostly just because I've done puzzles and I've seen them there. Is there anything that I thought were interesting to look at? Well, I would like to maybe go to some of these question mark clues because those are always pretty fun. This sightseeing list, it's nice when you have a um, sort of pun here where where you can clearly see that something is going on, right? In this case, well, in all question mark clues, there is typically usually like a single word that is the focus of the misdirection. In this case, the word that you really need to focus on is sight, because um, that's the whole reason that you have to write it like this instead of the normal spelling for sightseeing. So it's something about sights, and then that sort of gets you thinking. Well, what are the different kind of sites that there might be? Like there might be genuinely like a physical location, or the next common thing is like a website. So once you've sort of narrowed down what it possibly could be, then you can sort of think of some relevant phrases. Like in this case, what this is really asking you is what is a list of websites that you might have seen? And in this case, it would be an access log. And the same thing for this severance. This was a fun one as well. Canning package, which makes you think that this is about like maybe a canning factory or something. But um, in this case, there are only two words that you can really latch onto. And if you latch onto canning, you can start thinking about what else canning might be. And canning really could just be like, well, the verb can could mean to put something into a can, but it also could just mean to throw away something or to fire someone. So once you think about those meanings, like you might think of, okay, what is like a package that you might use when throwing something away, and that doesn't really make sense. Or at least if you think about it, you won't really get much with that. But then if you think, okay, what is a package that you might get from firing, right? And then in this case, being fired, you might get a package which is severance. So I thought this was um, like I'll say again, I think this was a great puzzle. Mark McLaughlin has made puzzles in the past, and maybe I'm just not too familiar with it with his style. But clearly, from this puzzle, I am actually quite a big fan of his constructing style. I think all of these were very fun. All of these themers are equally strong, I would think, um, which always makes for a nice Sunday puzzle because when you have Sunday puzzles, you have a lot of themers. They keep on giving. You know, that's the kind of um, that's sort of the ideal solving mode you want to be on, where you can just always like just have fun with all of the themes, even all the themers, even when you've worked out what it's about. So I'm very happy with this one. I'm usually not too happy with. I'm usually not this happy at the end of solving a Sunday, but this one was a good one. Yeah. All right, that's it.